Well, what a week 5 in the Premier League. Folks, we are back, Noel and I, with another episode of the 6 Yard Line podcast. Well, Noel, some interesting football this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought there were some very up and down games this week. I thought there was some games that, quite frankly, bored me to death. And there's a lot of, I seem to have every game that seemed to have controversy or something interesting happened. I didn't seem to watch it, so I picked all the Snorefest games to watch. I think this week, and then I had to go and watch the highlights of all the interesting games. Because I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch United Chelsea because I thought it was going to be a snore fest. I thought it was going to be a 0-0. You never know what Chelsea's going to do. You never know what Man United is going to do. I didn't think it would be half as entertaining as it was, but I guess we can start there. I guess we
Yeah.
can start with that game because I'll be honest, like I didn't know the score. All I saw was about, I think, 70 minutes in. I saw the two red cards, and I just assumed that it was a punch up that's gone wrong, and it was going to be one of those. All right, so then I went back and watched the highlights, and it was like, oh my god, Sanchez off in 4 minutes for what? Again, we've said it on this show so many times. Like, I don't know why Chelsea didn't go and buy a world class goalkeeper. They spent billions. They've got 7 keepers, and they still play him Sanchez, and he's kamikaze run out to get sent off after 4 minutes. Just killed the game, right? And I don't know. I just United scored, and then it kind of just felt like, okay, they're just going to close this out, and then when I saw Casemiro get that yellow card in the highlights, I'm like, oh, that's who the second red is going to be.
Yeah.
And I watched it back a few times. I don't really see that second yellow as a yellow. I really don't. When you see some of the tackles earlier in the day in some of the other games, that's not a yellow. That's obviously United had a 2-0 lead at that point, and then Chelsea pulls one back. But I felt the referee was looking to balance that out. That's how I felt about that game.
Yeah. I'm not going to dwell too much on the second yellow with Casemiro. Where I have to question is, all right, Chelsea, your keeper makes a mental blunder. You're now down to 10 men. You have to make of all substitutions that you never expect to make it, in the 5th minute is
4
your
minutes
keeper.
in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to make that sub. Then at some point you take off Palmer, Neto, and who else was it that you took off? Like you made 3 subs that.
Palmer's injured though, right?
Yes, he is reported that he did receive a knock, but Neto, on that wing, why is he coming up? Like you have to wonder, like, did you already decide? All right, we're not gonna have an opportunity to win this game, so I want to at least try to minimize the score line. Like I don't know what his decision making was when it came to the substitutions. Now again, I get you. You're down, man. You have to, maybe you figure your team just doesn't have what it takes today. I don't know. You know what? Man United needed this probably more than Chelsea needed the win with the pressure with Amarin. We talked about it last week. He's got what? There's rumors that he's got 3 games to save his job, right? We know that there's that Man United fan that was attacked because of his 5-game wins in a row streak. So he's got that after, and then it's spilling out into the fans where fans are now arguing with each other. He's at a game and somebody decides to be a douche to hit. Like Man United is just an all-around joke and a bit of a soap opera that you almost have to watch week in, week out, regardless of what you see on the pitch. Just you have to watch because what drama is going to come out of this week.
But it's like I think it's the same as the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like it's a soap opera every week. It's a big team, but what people don't understand, all this drama, all this stuff generates money, interest, it's likes, it's clicks, and they are, like the Cowboys, there might be a complete tire fire, but they're making money like crazy because there's always someone wants to read about it, somebody wants to be involved in it, and I just, just that's United, but on the Chelsea side of it, I just can't stand Maresca. I didn't like his comments on Sterling. I didn't like his comments I just find him very negative, and I find him he's like, the reason why I don't like Chelsea games is they're a team with no personality. They're like dry toast, and nobody wants dry toast in life, right? It's just they just they're hard to swallow. Like, I just don't really enjoy watching. I don't like their style of football. I don't like the way they operate. I don't like the way that the owner operates. And people get on me all the time about Marinakis at Forest, but Todd Bowley's involved in this black market ticket thing, which is always interesting. I don't know. I just find Maresca is he's just and these tactics are just boring.
I'm not a fan of his. I find he's a bit of, I don't want to say a douche, but he kind of has that vibe about him where I can see why people get turned off by him. His personality just doesn't work for me. I agree with you with his comments this week. Like, regardless of the Sterling situation, I think he made a comment last week that was just not called for. And it just shows, like you just don't seem to be the right fit to lead Chelsea to that next level. And I get it. He's won a couple trophies. If you're a Chelsea fan, you probably think he's
Mickey Mouse trophies.
I'm not disputing that. No, you and I,
a couple of billion. Like, I just find for a team that's spent that much money,
yep,
they look that disorganized, and the players, no offense, they look that uninterested. If you take Cole Palmer out of it, and Cole Palmer aside, he's on the hype train, because everyone
overhype. Like, he's a great player, but he's not like he did something the other day. Was it when did they lose their Champions League game?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have a big issue with players celebrating their goals when your team's losing. Like, it's not about you, right? But anyways, that's a different conversation. The point is, I just think Chelsea, you know what? You talk a big game, you act like we're one of the big teams. We can, compete with the rest. But like, when you look at how you've spent your money, you're just showing off that you have money, but you actually haven't spent it wisely. And I think everyone can see that your defense is trash. Your keeper is trash. You want to spend over $200 billion, but if you're not actually investing it in the key quality players, you have like 7 to 10 players that all play the same position. You have no actual sense of how you're trying to build for the long term to build a winning. You just want to be able to, like, you didn't work this week, I'm going to throw this guy in there. That's not building a sustainable long-term football club. It's just you're just throwing money and hoping it sticks.
Well, I think it's more about they're trying to just find players to make money off long term. I think this is a business over a win, and I think that's kind of what you're starting to see more and more now. It's just they're trying to make money, and we saw it in the off season, right, with their transfer dealings going out. They made a lot of good money, as much as we all mocked them, but they made a lot of good money. But I think that's the business model. And I think, to your point, you've got a coach that I don't think knows how to play the players he's got. And I don't think he knows how to get the best out of them. And I just looked at that lineup and, again, it's just one of those, I don't know. I find them I just don't enjoy watching them play. I find their style of football's very dull. I don't get the whole point of signing players like Garnacho and stuff like that when you've already got wingers in that position. It's just turning a profit and everything.
That's my point. That's my point. But you know what? For Man United, they needed that win. I think it was a massive result for them. The problem is they've got to try to, do that back to back to back. And it doesn't matter who you are, to win even 3 games in a row in the Premier League is not easy.
No, and I think that's the thing that's got to be said, right? Like, it's not this league is unforgiving. You can have a great game one week, and then the next week you can get absolutely pummeled and humiliated, and you get found out pretty quick in this league. And I think that's generally where United needs to be consistent. And I think that's the problem with United. He needs to be, hammering, and it's good for him. Like, he said, he's going to stick to his tactics, and like, if you're going to go down, you might as well go down doing it your way, trying to change it to somebody else's way. But you know, they've got some points on the board, and I think that's the biggest takeaway for the week for them.
Well, that's it for us this week. As usual, make sure you hit the subscribe button and don't forget to smash that like button. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one, folks.
Thanks, guys.